So what's up, guys? Today we're gonna try to put the motor inside the truck. If you can see, I did the engine harness. It looks a little weird, but oh well. We have everything labeled, ready for the fuse box. Ended up putting my intercooler in there, and I ended up putting the radiator in there too. This radiator is off a 02 Tahoe. I just cut the supports, drilled 2 holes at the bottom, and looks like it's gonna work out for me. It's gonna save me from having to use like a stock one for the age of the truck, and I'm just gonna put 2 12-inch fans in between, do my own relays, call it goods. Trying to make this budget friendly. I got the radiator at a junkyard for $60 with the top hose and the other 2 hoses over there, and I just took me some time, cut it up, made it fit fine. It kind of fits tight and I like it. And I ended up making the brackets for the intercooler. Wait, I'm so excited. And like I said, today we're gonna try to put the motor inside the truck. And oh yeah, I ended up cleaning the firewall with a wire brush on a drill, and then my grinder too, I have a wire brush on it. I did the top part, everything, and then I didn't do the bottom parts. Right there, that corner, and the other corner. Let me see if you can see it. That corner, for the same reason, because I'm gonna have to cut right there. That's the reason I didn't clean it up or paint it, because I'm gonna cut it up right there. You see, I have problems churning. So let's get to it.
Story by Colby Frazier. During that time, at least 60 tradespeople and contractors and handymen had been in and out of the house working on different projects.
And someone who worked on the house could totally know that the side door had an alarm that didn't work. Not to mention knowing the layout of the house, where Elizabeth slept, all of those sort of details.
Exactly. I mean, I say they narrowed their list, but even this list isn't super small. I mean, we're still talking about at least 60 people. That's not nothing, but it is a place to start. Focusing on this list, the handyman list as they called it, they find out that some contractors had been in there for a couple of days, maybe like a week or 2. But there were others who had spent months, even close to a year, working inside and outside the Smart house, which is more than enough time to get super familiar with the physical space, but also long enough to get to know Ed and Lois, and more importantly, their children, who continued to live there while these renovations were going on. And it doesn't take investigators long to whittle their list of 60 plus potential suspects down to just one name. This episode is made possible by BetterHelp. You guys, I got the sweetest message from one of you recently saying thank you for promoting this service. It has been a tough year for all of us. I know I personally started counseling this year, and it has saved me. And I love hearing from all of you about how you're taking care of your mental health. It can be really hard just knowing where to start, like insanely hard. It shouldn't be that hard, but BetterHelp makes it easy. There is a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide, and you can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit BetterHelp.com/CrimeJunkie. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, and join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. There's a special offer for Crime Junkie listeners. You can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/crimejunkie. The handyman whose name immediately sticks out to investigators when they start to broaden their search for suspects is Richard Rizzi. Richard had worked at Ed and Lois's house for 8 months back in the first half of 2001, up until almost exactly a year before Elizabeth disappeared. His name had come up several times from several different people, and Ed remembers him well. He says Richard was a good worker who came recommended by a friend, and according to comments Ed made in the Salt Lake City Weekly piece, he was incredibly friendly to the kids.
Okay, so none of that is really raising alarms for me, but that usually means that you have a huge and then, or but, or something coming up.
There's always a but. And in this case, it's a long criminal record. In fact, back when he was working for the Smarts, like I said, like a year ago, he was actually out of prison on parole.
Oh, do we know what he was in prison for?
Mm-hmm. It was for attempted homicide and felony robbery.
Oh, yeah, I see those red flags now.
Yeah, according to Tom Smart's book, what had happened is Richard had actually returned fire on a police officer while he was attempting to rob a pharmacy in 1983. But that's just one conviction. This guy has a rap sheet as long as your arm. Decades in and out of prison. And he served 23 and a half years in all, plus the time that he spent out on parole, which he broke every single time. And like I said, he was on parole when he was working at the Smart House the year before. But Ed and Lois didn't know that. They knew him as this easygoing, likable handyman. At least until they noticed a few things had gone missing from their house, including a $1,600 bracelet that belonged to Lois. Ed said he confronted Richard at the time, and he denied having anything to do with it, but Ed could never trust him, so that was the end of them working together.
Is there anything in his criminal history that fits the FBI profile? The case suggested that it was a sexual abuse.
Nothing like that, but according to that 2003 documentary The Kidnapping of Elizabeth Smart, the Smarts weren't the only family who had to go missing after Richard worked on their home. In all those cases, police thought Richard was probably casing the houses while he was there working on them during the day, and then he would break in overnight to steal whatever stuff he saw. Richard already knew the Smart house, so I think what everyone's thinking is that maybe this wasn't sexually motivated after all. What if he was there to steal a few things, to pawn them for money or whatever, and Elizabeth caught him? She would for sure recognize him from the many, many months that he spent in their house, and the parole board had very clearly told him that one more violation would send him back to prison for life.
So potentially Elizabeth was more like collateral damage.
Right, that's exactly what they're thinking. And honestly, Richard ticks a lot of boxes for police, like criminal history, check. An MO that fits his past behavior, check. Knows the neighborhood, the houses, and the Smart family, including Elizabeth, check, check, check. So on June 14th, this is now 9 days after Elizabeth's abduction, police arrest Richard. Now, not for kidnapping, but for a parole violation. Now, this is a technicality molester, but he is not a killer. And if he took Elizabeth, she's probably still alive. And then, on March 12th, 2003, not one, but 2 calls come into 911 virtually at the same time. Both of them saying, Emmanuel is here, and he has Elizabeth. The Jesus man and the 2 women are just walking down the side of the road. But they're not in their usual robes and veils anymore. They're now in jeans and shirts. But honestly, by this time, it wouldn't have mattered what they were wearing because the residents of Utah would recognize them anywhere. It only takes 2 minutes for the nearest officer to arrive on the scene with more right behind them. He asks this guy that they think is Emmanuel, "What's your name?" He says that his name is Peter Marshall, and he introduces his wife, Juliet, and their daughter, Augustine. The first officer asks the man for ID, and he says he doesn't have one. He says that he doesn't have anything because he doesn't need any worldly possessions because they are messengers of God. So then they asked this girl what her name is, and she says that she's his daughter, Augustine Ann Marshall. But they're not letting him off the hook. These people aren't going anywhere until they can.
So pretty much I got the motor in, and sitting. I just got to do a couple adjustments. Move this bracket that way, and looks pretty good. It is hitting there, but I don't know if you can see. Tranny's sitting pretty good on that stock transmission cross member. But yeah, there's just a couple adjustments, and then she's pretty much good for today. But batteries, all my batteries, I have 3 of them. For some reason they weren't charging something. I don't know what the heck happened, but look, I'm so happy. Progress is better than no progress. Remember that, guys. Yep. Check it out. Here's the progress on the C10. It's all bolted down, motor mounts and everything. Transmission is sitting on a 2x4, so I can get the measurements of how I'm gonna wanna make the rear cross member. It didn't fit with the stock one. I thought it was, but you live and you learn, you know. Check that out. I'm super happy. This is progress, you know what I mean? And I'm glad that I'm able to do this kind of stuff. I enjoy doing this stuff. It's a learning progress for me, and that's pretty much it. I might slap in the radiator and the core support back on there, but man, this thing, I'm super happy. Check that out. Just check this out. Man, progress is better than no progress.